Assalamualaikum. So how are you all? As you know, this is Mahi and you are watching CSS with Mahi. So today we are going to discuss about a very common and general topic, that is constitutional development of Pakistan. So how Pakistan developed, we all know about its independence theory and how British conquered and governed the Indian subcontinent about over 2 centuries, and after many struggles we got Pakistan. So today we are going to see how Pakistan got its constitution. So it's a very long journey, so stay with me and let's start. So first of all, there are some motivational lines for you before we start. So nothing in your life is hard when you are ready to play your part, right? So nothing is impossible, and be consistent as our Pakistani leaders that did. So you have just to play your part in this country, and the God will reward you. So first of all, coming on the topic, the word constitution. So what is constitution? When we say constitution, we mean supreme law, and when we are talking about supreme constitution of Pakistan, then we mean the supreme law of Pakistan. It can be further defined as a document of basic principles that guides a country or a state and its different organs and its institutions of how to work and how to run their organs, right? So constitution is basically divided into two types: written constitution and unwritten constitution. So don't go on the literal meaning of both these terms. Written constitution doesn't mean that it is in the written form, and unwritten is in oral form, but that's not the idea about this. But the main idea about this is that the written constitution is enacted, means it is passed by a parliament, whereas unwritten is not passed by parliament. So written constitution is codified. Codified means it consists of some set of articles, whereas unwritten constitution is uncodified. It does not contain any set of articles. So written constitution is rigid. We cannot make any amendments, make any changes in this type of constitution easily. We have to go through a long and legal process to make any amendments in this type of constitution. And Pakistan has the written constitution. Unwritten constitution is the constitution which is flexible. We can make any changes or amendments easily, right? So UK has, and America has the unwritten constitution. So we have seen that what is constitution and its main types. Now we are going to set the constitution of our country, and we will see along the journey how it was set. So to make any constitution of any country, we have to follow 4 steps. First of all, we have to set its nature, and then we will set their structure, and then drafting and the propagation. The nature and the structure constitutes the 80% of the work in this making of constitution. So coming on our main topic, that is Constitution of Pakistan, we have briefly introduced about what is constitution, its type, and how to set it. Now what is Constitution of Pakistan? So it's an amalgamation of Western and Islamic ideas, means it So the Constitution of Pakistan is the amalgamation of Western and Islamic ideas. Means it is the combination of Western plus Islamic ideas, as Quaidism wanted a modern democratic state, but also the state where Muslims can exercise their principles, their Islamic principles. So it is the combination of both the ideas. So as we all know that we got Pakistan on 14th August 1947, but its constitutional foundations were made in 1956. So are you seeing this 9 years gap, 47 to 56? That's a lot of gap, and a country without its own constitution cannot survive with and at least Pakistan survived, but in very difficult it faced many difficult times. So we have to see that why this delay happened, why Pakistan's constitutional foundations were made after 9 years of its independence. So some thinkers say that it is due to the refugees issue, means the people that migrated from India to Pakistan and Pakistan to India. So there were many distractions and many settlements, no communal rights, and there were no place for the refugees, the migrated people to live in Pakistan, right? And some says it is due to the untimely Jinnah's death. Quaid-e-Azam died in 1948. So if Quaid-e-Azam would be alive at that time, he would better make constitution and make developments in his country, for which he struggled. He and his friends struggled a lot. So some says it is due to the Kashmir issue. At that time, Kashmir issue was at its peak, and people were discussing and fighting and spread violence everywhere because of the Kashmir issue, right? And some says it is due to the administration. Most of them are of the view that it is due to the administration issue. The leaders of Pakistan are weren't interested to think about the interest of their nation. They were just doing power struggles. They just wanted a better and better position in the government. So they just fought and competed for the chair, for the authority, for the power and control. So they didn't focus much on the developments. Now we have briefly introduced what is constitution, its types, and how to set it, and what is the constitution of Pakistan and why it was delayed to make the constitutional foundations. Now the next question for us here comes, that who makes constitution? So obviously a constitutional assembly makes the constitution for any country. So now we are standing in a newborn Pakistan, and there are no any systems, because there are no any laws, no any legal rules made. So how can there be any system for elections or another thing? So before independence in 1945 to 46, the elections were held, and in that elections some members were elected in that constitutional assembly. So 10 were non-Muslims, and the total were 69, and they were raised to make 74 more. So the same members are in our newborn Pakistan. So they have the responsibility to sit in the constitutional assembly and make laws for our newborn Pakistan. So we have discussed before the 4 steps how to set the constitution of any country. So first of all, as you all remember, we have to set the the salient features of objective resolution are, first of all, sovereignty belongs to Allah, means all powers belong to Almighty Allah, and as it is an Islamic state, and Pakistan is an Islamic system, obviously, as it got independence in the name of Islam, and the judiciary system means the law interpreting organ, the judges, the courts. Should be independent, and they talked about the independence of judiciary, and they also mentioned, Liaquat Ali Khan also mentioned the minorities' rights and women's rights in that resolution. So first of all, so to conclude, in objective resolution, Liaquat Ali Khan basically talked about four things. First of all, he said that Islamic guiding principles should be exercised in the country, and people should live Islamic way of life, and everyone should get equal citizenship rights, as if he or she is or is not a Muslim, but he can get equal citizenship rights living in Pakistan. And lastly, he talked about the independent judiciary system, means the residuary power of all the courts should not be wasted in another president's or governor's hand. It should be independent. The last decisions were only of the judges. Now, Liaquat Ali Khan has set the feature of our constitution. So we have to now set the structure of constitution, means now we do not know, still we do not know what is our legislative, what is our executive, is it bi-cabinet or uni-cabinet, or are there any articles. So this whole work was responsible, was given to Constitutional Assembly, but the president, the speaker of that time's assembly was Maulvi Tamizuddin. He gave this task to another committee. There was Basic Principles Committee, and there were some members in that committee, and they were given the task to formulate basic constitution of Pakistan in the light of objective resolution. So the members of this committee gave initial report on 28 September 1950. So let's see their initial report. So first of all, they talked about that the president of the Pakistan must have the 5 years tenure, means after election, after elected as a president, he can be at the position for 5 years. Then they talked about the legislature. The legislature must be bicameral legislature, not unicameral, means it must constitute of 2 houses, Home of Unite or Senate, and Home of People, that is National Assembly. Thirdly, they talked about that the provinces should get equal representation. There should be no discrimination in the provinces. Then the next point, they talked about the seats in assembly. So they didn't give a exact and concrete number for the provinces, for each province's seats. So they just said that the population, the seats were on the basis of the province's population, means the less the population, the less the representation, the seats in assembly, and the more the population, the more the seats. So fifthly, at the fifth, they talked about the powers, that who can dissolve assembly, the Constitutional Assembly. So president means the speaker of that assembly has the power to dissolve the assembly, but on the recommendation of the prime minister. So prime minister has the real power of government. So lastly, they talked about the national language. The national language should be Urdu. Now, after this, their initial report published, many criticisms were raised. many criticized against the first report. For example, they talked about that the initial report didn't mention about the president. So the criticisms of first report of Basic Principles Committee were that the Basic Principles Committee didn't mention that the president should be Muslim or not, as a Muslim ruler could better rule the country according to the Islamic principles. Then they didn't mention about the seats in houses, like how many seats should be in Senate and how many seats should be in National Assembly. And thirdly, there was a very controversy. There was a controversy raised that why Urdu has given a status of national language. At that time, West Pakistan and East Pakistan were united, and 55% people spoke Bengali at that time. So they said that the majority are Bengali, so why there is the Urdu has given the status of national language. Then there were many revolts and wars, and finally it resulted in the separation of East Pakistan from West Pakistan, and the creation of Bangladesh on the map of world occurred. Right? So at 1947, the president of this time was named as Governor General, and the Speaker of the National Assembly was said to be the President. So in 1947, Jinnah was the first Governor General, and he was also the first President or the Speaker of Constitutional Assembly, and Liaquat Ali Khan was the first Prime Minister. Then after Jinnah's death in 1948, Khwaja Nazimuddin became the second Governor General of Pakistan, and Maulvi Tamizuddin was replaced in the place of Jinnah as the President or Speaker of the Constitutional Assembly. And Khwaja Nazimuddin also, after Liaquat Ali Khan's assassination in 1951, the second Prime Minister became was Khwaja Nazimuddin. So he replaced his position from Governor General to Prime Minister. So someone has to fill the gap of the Governor General, fill the place or position of the Governor General. Then the Liaquat Ali Khan's cabinet member was one of the cabinet members was Ghulam Muhammad. So he was offered to become a third Governor General of Pakistan, and then the President of the Speaker of the National Assembly was same Maulvi Tamizuddin, and Ghulam Muhammad called his cabinet member Muhammad Ali Bogra to come and overthrew the government of Khwaja Nazimuddin. So he overthrew the government of that person who made the place of his. So the Governor General at that time has the power to dissolve or dismiss the government. So he called Muhammad Ali Bogra to become the third Prime Minister of Pakistan. So after many suggestions, after many criticisms, Basic Principles Committee published a final report. So they were positively accepted all the suggestions or the criticisms and made another report. In this report they mentioned that President should be Muslim, must be Muslim, and secondly they talked about that the Council of Ministers in the Assembly can also give suggestions. So there should be no concentration of power to the Speaker or the President. Then the third thing they talked about is next Assembly will decide about national language. So this had made a very smart move that to overcome this controversy about the national language. So they said the next assembly will decide about national language. So fourthly, they talked about the bicameral system. So the Pakistan must have the bicameral system, as they already. So they talked about uh, the bicameral system. So they said the West Pakistan uh, should must have 8 units of assembly, and East Pakistan has 1 unit because of the population and the provinces. And they briefly described that Senate should be have 160 seats, and 60 seats must belong to the East Pakistan, and 60 seats must belong to the West Pakistan. So they do not want to fight with any of them, so they just made equal representation. And in National Assembly there should be 400 seats, 200 seats must belong to East Pakistan, and 200 seats should belong to West Pakistan. Right, so the final report was the smartest report, we can say, made by Basic Principles Committee at that time. So I have summarized all the constitutional developments from the independence 1947 till present. So in 1947 to 56, first of all, as we all know, on August 1497 we got our independence from British rule after 2 centuries. And secondly, on March 23rd, 1956, the first constitution of Pakistan was made, and Pakistan was given the name of Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And secondly, the tenure was from 1958 to 1971. So on October 7, 1958, General Ayub Khan made the military coup, that is the first martial law, and suspended the 1956 constitution. So nextly, in 1962, a new constitution was introduced. So that was establishing a presidential system. So, right, the second constitution was made in 1962. The first constitution was made in 56, and the second was in 1962. So in 1962 there was a presidential system adopted, in which the powers should vest, and the president should be the head of the state, and all power has the most power. President has the most power, right? So in 1971 there was a big war between East Pakistan and West Pakistan, as we already discussed on language problems. So there was significant constitutional changes, and Bangladesh was created. Nextly, in 1973 to 1977, so April 1973, Pakistan adopted its third constitution, restoring a parliamentary system. Again, Pakistan had made a third constitution in 1973, and it again restored the parliamentary system. And parliamentary system, the head of the state is the president, while the head of the government is the prime minister, and prime minister has the real powers. So on July 5, 1977, General Ziaul Haq again seizes and announced the second martial law. And then afterwards, 1977 to 1988, General Ziaul Haq made some amendments in 1973 constitution, the third constitution, and his rule was said to be like a good rule, as he made some Islamization of laws, and he promoted the Islamization of laws and introduced some Sharia codes, as Pakistan is the Islamic country, so it should have some Islamic rules and regulations. Then afterwards, 1988 to 1999, General Pervez Musharraf again announced the emergency in Pakistan in 1999 and suspended the 1973 constitution. Then 2002 to 2007, there were some amendments made, and the constitution, the same 1973 constitution, and there was a legal framework order for further amendments. From 2007 to 2010, the 1973 constitution was again restored in 2010. In 2002 to 2007, there were some 17 amendments were made till 2002 in the 1973 constitution, and there was a legal framework order introduced for further amendments. Then from 2007 to 2010, the 1973 constitution was again restored because there were many changes made, and public protested a lot on those changes. And the 18th amendment was also introduced, passed in 2010, devolving more powers to the provinces and reversing many of the changes made during military rule. So during the military rule in Pakistan, there were many changes made in the constitutions. So they restored and gave more power to the provinces. From 2010 to present, there are many amendments and reforms made to shape the Pakistan constitution. And in 2018, the 25th amendment is passed because increasing the number of seats reserved for tribal areas in National Assembly, right? So there are many debates and reforms continue to influence Pakistan's constitutional development. Then I have brought the 1973 constitution. That's the most important constitution, and this is still in the process. So I thought that it is the most important to discuss. Currently it is in development. So it was given by the Zulfikar Ali Bhutto on 14th August 1973. So, and it is the only constitution that is not abrogated, as 1956 constitution and 1973 were abrogated, but it was suspended for some time for third martial law on July 5, 1977, and it was again suspended on 12th October 1999, and when Musharraf declared emergency in Pakistan, and it was again suspended. So the salient features of this constitution are: first of all, it is written constitution, as it is passed by parliament, it is codified, it consists of 280 articles, and it is a rigid constitution. We cannot make changes or amendments easily. Secondly, it is on the basis of objective resolution, that is, Islam shall be state religion, focusing on Islam, and all the principles, Islamic principles, must be followed, as it is the main point of the objective resolution. Then they talked about the fundamental rights should be given to all Pakistanis, to all citizens of Pakistan, and there should be bicameral legislature, means Senate and National Assembly, 2 houses, and there should be parliamentary form of government, means the power should be given to both, should be divided between president and the prime minister, means the president should be the head of the state, while the prime minister should be the head of the government. And they made Urdu as a national language, while English as an official language for 15 years, next 15 years, till 1988. Nextly, they talked about the independence of judiciary, means the legislative power should not be wasted on third party's hands, and they introduced correct election method for the first time. So they said the members of National and Provincial Assembly can be elected by the common people, by the public, and Pakistan should be an Islamic system, and it should follow a federal system, means the power should be divided into the center and the provinces, right? So that's all about the constitution.